The Italian Wine Podcast is introducing a new donation drive this month. It's called Why Am I a Fan? We are encouraging anyone who tunes in on a regular basis to send us your 10-second video on why you are a fan of our podcast network or a specific show. We will then share your thoughts with the world with the goal of garnering support for our donation drive. Italian Wine Podcast is a publicly funded, sponsor-driven enterprise that needs you in order to continue to receive awesome free wine edutainment 7 days a week. We are asking our listeners to donate to the Italian Wine Podcast by clicking either the GoFundMe link or the Patreon link found on italianwinepodcast.com. Remember, if you sign up as a monthly donor on our Patreon, we will send you a free IWP t-shirt and a copy of the Wine Democracy book, the newest Mama Jumbo Shrimp publication.
Italian Wine Podcast, a wine2wine Business Forum 2021 media partner, is proud to present a series of sessions highlighting the key themes and ideas from the two-day event held on October the 18th and 19th, 2021. This hybrid edition of the Business Forum was jam-packed with the most informed speakers discussing some of the hottest topics in the wine industry today. For more information, please visit wine2wine.net and tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central European Time for more episodes recorded during this latest edition of Wine2Wine Business Forum.
So, hello everyone. Very nice to see you all in person again. My name is Åsa Johansson. I'm a Swedish wine journalist based in Tuscany. So I speak Italian with the Florentine dialect, actually. Today I write for Swedish wine magazines and for international press, and I organize wine events in Sweden. I teach at the sommelier school in Stockholm. And I also have the first podcast in Sweden about Italian wine. So today I'm going to talk about the Swedish market together with my colleague Marius from Norway.
So that's my name. I am a sommelier and a wine importer, and also the founder of a wine magazine in Norway called Vin og Brennevin. It's wine and spirit in English. My Italian is not very good, so I'm going to do it in Norwegian instead. I'm going to do it in English. Everyone was looking for a translator now. So I do wine courses, and I also write a little bit in the wine magazine I founded 12 years ago. Unfortunately, I do not write about wine anymore, but other beverages. So I think we'll just get starting before it ends, because we don't have much time, but we will be here as long as we are allowed until they kick us out, so you can ask questions when suitable. So since Sweden is much bigger than Norway in population, Åsa will start. So not only for being a woman, but also the bigger country. So take it away.
Okay, let's start. Let's take a look at the Swedish market. I don't know how many of you that have been in Sweden. 1, 2, 3. Okay, many. Great. So you probably noticed that in the biggest cities, there's actually a flourishing wine culture right now. A lot has happened in the last years. New wine bars are starting. They're niched wine bars with very interesting wine lists from small, with a lot of smaller producers from less known regions. There's a great interest in wine education, both in the WSET, but also the Swedish organization with the impossible name called Munskänkarna. You can try that at home later to pronounce. But it's an organization that offers wine education for Swedish inhabitants, and today they account for around 30,000 members all over the country. There's also a growing interest towards wine tourism. Swedes love to travel, and wine and food is one of the main reasons why you go to a certain place today. So wine and food is very interesting. But as you know, both Norway and Sweden are highly influenced by a monopoly. So we will take a look how the monopoly works. Then we're going to take a look at the Swedish market, what it looks like today. I will let you know how the Italian wines are doing in Sweden, and then we're going to end with the ongoing trends right now on the Swedish market. So if we start with the first slide here, see if it works. So the Swedish monopoly was introduced in the beginning of the 1900s, but what it looks like today is more or less since 1955. It started because in Sweden there was a lot of health concerns. There was a lot of very bad drinking habits that was a threat to society. So that's why the Swedish monopoly once started. A big change was when Sweden entered the European Union in 1995, because until then the Swedish monopoly that is called Systembolaget had the monopoly on everything that regarded alcoholic beverages. After 1995, when Sweden entered the European Union, the monopoly could only keep the off trade. That meant that we opened up to importers, so importing wine is not subject to a monopoly. So how it works? So the monopoly has around 400 shops around the country, and in the shops, wines are sold that have won a tender. The tender are launched through twice a year, or the launching strategy is told twice a year. Then you get to know which wines will probably be subject to a future tender. The tenders are very specific. They regard the wine region, the price, the grape variety, the alcoholic level, and so on. So they're very, very specific. Normally, they regard a large number of bottles, so big quantities, to quite low prices. So it's more easy for, as you probably know, for bigger producers to win a tender. So the wines sold in the different stores, they have all won a tender. But there are also different segments in the monopoly today. For example, the temporary and exclusive listings that are launched twice a month, and they are not subject to tenders. They are decisions made by the buyers, and they are launched in smaller quantities and to higher prices normally. They're not launched in all stores around the country, but normally in the biggest stores in the main cities. This is a growing segment. Last year, for example, the exclusive listing grew with 80%. So there's a marked interest towards these kind of more exclusive listings inside the monopoly stores. Then we have the direct order segment. So the monopoly has a website where the wines are listed. In the ordinary segment, there are around 2,500 products. But the importers that didn't win the tender with their wines, they can still have their wines on the website at the monopoly. The difference is if you take a look at the Swedish monopoly's website, the ordinary segment has a very good, the wines, they are described with a flavor profile. You get a lot of information. There's a little note with like if it's high acidity and how to pair the wine and so on. While the direct order segment is just the name, no picture, and the price. So it's kind of a more sterile imagine on the website. So the importers, if we instead take a look at the importers, it's quite easy to become an importer in Sweden. You just have to apply for a license that is quite easy to get, and then you can start sell wines in Sweden. No one really knows exactly how many there are, but around 800 and 1,000 importers today. This doesn't mean they all work with the monopoly. The opposite, it's around 15, 20 big importers that has almost all the market in Sweden. Then there's a growing segment of smaller importers that are niched, Portuguese wines, ethical wines, natural wines, and so on. And the importers, they can choose to work towards the monopoly, the Systembolaget, or to sell to the Horeca segment. The Horeca segment is opened. You don't have to go through the monopoly at that point, so importers can sell directly to restaurants. The restaurant segment has only 10% of the sales of wine in Sweden, so it's quite a small market. But the restaurants tend to want to differentiate their offers from what is possible to buy in the store. So it could be interesting if you're not interested as a wine producer to sell large quantities. Finding an importer that works really well with the Horeca segment could be an interesting possibility. Of course, many of the importers, they work with both Systembolaget and the Horeca segment. So both on and off trade. Then we have the challengers, because since 2007, it is possible to sell wine online through web shops directly to consumers. It was a great discussion about that because, of course, the monopoly wasn't very happy about it and isn't very happy about it. There's many lawsuits going on between the web stores and the monopoly for the moment. Sometimes, or quite often, it blows up in the press, and then we will see what happens. But it is possible since 2007. It's a very small segment still. It has between 0.5 and 1% of the Swedish market, so close to nothing, but it is a growing segment. So in the future, they think that this will have a bigger part of the Swedish market. One of the rules, if you want to sell wines online through web shops, is that your storage can't be inside Sweden. It has to be outside the Swedish borders. So what most of the web shops do is that they have the storage in Denmark, and then they sell to Sweden. I just named a few here. One of the biggest is Wine Finder and X-Wine and the Wine Company, but there are also others. So this is how just a short brief, because this is like a speed dating today, so we will move on quite fast. But this is how it works. So for bigger producers, winning a tender could be great, or is great. For smaller producers, there are other channels, especially if the most important thing is to choose the right importer that has good contacts with the right restaurants and also with journalists, and even more so influencers on social media that has a great impact on sales in Sweden, more and more for every year. So what does the Swedish market look like today? 70% of alcohol, that means all the alcoholic beverage that has more than 3.5% of alcohol has to be sold through the monopoly stores in a restaurant. It's not possible to take a bottle from a restaurant and bring it home. It has to be consumed on spot. But 70% of alcohol is sold through the Systembolaget, 10% through restaurants. Travel is 10%, and internet, as we said, is 0.5, closer to 1% today, but very, very small. During the pandemic, the monopoly grew with 11%, while travel, of course, went down with not as much as you would think, but with 60%, and a restaurant went down with 35%, even though Sweden never closed, as you probably know. The society stayed open throughout the whole pandemic. Wine is the most popular alcoholic beverage today. It used to be beer, but it has changed, so that has also been a big cultural change in Sweden. 45% of the alcoholic consumption is wine, strong beers 33%, and spirits it's 19%. Consumption is a little bit lower than in the rest of Europe, 8.5 liters pure alcohol per person in 2020. And as you can see, consumption decreased in the last 10 years. It is decreasing every year, but it's still higher than it was in the 90s. So this is what it looks like today. If we instead take a look at the Italian wines, Italy is doing really well in Sweden. At the monopoly, Italian wine has 25% of the market today, so it's the leading country in Sweden. Italian red wine has 40% of the market. It is mostly wines from Veneto, Puglia, Piedmont is a growing segment, as Sicily is also a growing region. Instead, when we take a look at the white wine, Swedes are quite traditional when it comes to white wine in a way. I think there's a great potential here for Italian white wine production because they're not as known as the red wines. And I think most Swedes, that's my impression, my personal impression is that Swedes think about Italian whites like simple, not able to age, not very complex. So I think there's a lot of work to do there when it comes to Italian wines. And it's South Africa that is the leading country with 17.5% and France second with 15.8%. It's also interesting because I took a look at the restaurant, the Horeca segment, and the Star Wine List made a research which countries sold best in Swedish restaurants, and France has 65% of the restaurant segment, while Italy has only 15. So there's a range there to work on for sure. In 2020, it was Austria, Portugal, and France that had the biggest growth. Swedes are not loyal. Sweden is not a wine producing country, so it's curious wine lovers or wine drinkers. They're not loyal to any tradition or any country. So it's a market that can move very quickly. We have seen that in 5 years ago, everyone drank Amarone. I've very often met people that said, I only drink Amarone. And now everyone drinks Nebbiolo. So Sweden it's not like in Italy where everyone has an opinion. In Sweden, Swedes tend to think the same thing. So this is what it looks like today. So which are the ongoing trends? Sweden follow the global trends, quite similar. Sustainable and ethical wines is a growing segment. Last year, organic wines grew with 16.2%. And what I heard, it's not official yet, but what I heard is that there will be a particular spot or place in the monopoly stores for wines with an ethical certification like Equalitas or Sustain in Sicily or similar. In the upcoming future. The sustainable and ethical wines are people are willing to pay a little bit more. Of course, they're willing to pay more for these wines. They're especially popular among the young crowd. The urban the wine drinkers, mature wine drinkers, even though they're very, very young, they look out for the sustainable and ethical wines. And it's surely a growing market. What we also see is that there's big interest towards authenticity and premiumization. In 2006, more or less 15 years ago, wines that cost more than 10 euros at the monopoly had only 9% of the market, while today they have 30% of the market. And the premiumization is growing, even though still the main 60% of the sales regard wines that range between 7 and 9 euros a bottle. But the premium segment is a growing market, and there's a bigger interest towards these kinds of wine. And we see that through the launch twice a month with the exclusive temporary segment in the monopoly stores. And then low alcohol content, no alcohol beverages are increasing, especially the young consumers are interested, they're health concerned, they want to diversify themselves from the older, more heavy wine drinking habits, maybe from their parents, and so on. So this is also increasing. And then when it comes to packaging, as I said before, Sweden is not a wine producing country, so they don't really care if it's a natural cork or a traditional bottle. They're very open minded. The first bag in box was sold in 1996 in Sweden, so quite some time ago. And today the bag in box stands for 60% of the packaging in the monopoly stores. There's also cans, plastic bottles, and all possible types of packaging, and they all seem to work quite fine. The monopoly, Systembolaget, they set a goal that they will decrease the CO2 coming from packaging with 10% within 2023. So within next year. And this was a goal that they set up in 2019, and it will probably go on. So these are the ongoing trends right now, and I think we're going to see a quite interesting development in Sweden due to this in the upcoming years. So I leave the word to Marius, that comes from the little country of Norway.
Italian Wine Podcast, part of the Mama Jumbo Shrimp family.
We are also looking forward to the development in Sweden because we buy a lot of the wine in Sweden, the consumers. So when the crisis we have now with the COVID-19, there were big problems at the border on the Swedish side because no Norwegians were coming, and the increase at the monopoly was almost 40%. So a little bit different from Sweden. I'll get into that. Let's start. We are only about 5.5 million people. It's a big country, but very few people. 700,000 lives in the capital of Oslo. Red wine, white wine, 3-1. It's a lot about minerals, acidity, low alcohol, fruitiness, dry wines, no sugar. I also took a little sentence about Sweden, but it is a different palate in Sweden than in Norway. 2/3 of the wine comes from Europe, so definitely mostly of the import comes from European wine-producing countries, and it stands for 3/4 of the value, and red wine is more than 50%. There are a bit more than 330 monopoly shops, which is quite interesting. So it's a big customer to be at the monopoly. It's except for Sweden, it's the biggest wine customer you can have in the world. We have very good track of our importers, which is 560, mostly small. It's about 50, same as in Sweden, 15 to 20 big, and some in between. At our web shop, we have 26,000 products available.
That's much more. That's more than us. We only have 10,000 available.
I'll get back to that also. 2,000 in the shops is the same as in Sweden. Big increase in alcohol-free products actually, and sparkling wines are trending. Also the environmental packaging, organic, sustainable, like Åsa told about in Sweden, is also the same trends in Norway. There are a few good selling grapes from Italy, like Barbera, Montepulciano, Sangiovese, but Piedmont and Veneto is the biggest ones. They stand for most of the Italian wines. Prices, average price is about 2.5 euros ex-seller. So that's the import price, which will be 15 euros in the shop. That's because of the taxes and VAT, etc. The monopoly has a percentage. The profit is about 13 to 16%, no matter what kind of brand and no matter what kind of wine. So alcohol tax for a wine like a red wine, 13% will be more than 5 euros in taxes. This is the alcohol tax, and the VAT will be on the final price after the profit to the monopoly and after our profit. So to get into what's really interesting, the figures you can get by emailing me. But to learn how to get into the monopoly and how it works, that is a little bit more complicated. The Norwegian monopoly works almost like in Sweden, but a few differences. We have the shops. The monopoly cannot import, so everything they have must be bought from the importers. They have a web shop, and they are the only one allowed to have a web shop and sell to consumers. So that's different from Swedish market, actually. They don't hold any stock, so the importers need to hold all the stock. So this means every time we release a new wine, we need to have the stock in our own warehouse. And this is solved by most of the importers having a distribution partner, one of the big ones, to make sure they have distribution to all the monopoly shops within a certain limit of time. If they fail with the distribution, the monopoly can kick you out. There is two markets in Norway, like in Sweden. You have the wine monopoly and you have the Horeca market. You can be on both of them with the same products, no problem. The restaurants buy from the importers, and the consumers buy from the wine monopoly. Go into a little bit details about how to work to get into the monopoly. So you have the importer, you have the tenders at the monopoly, you have the consumers and the Horeca. For most of the importers in Norway, it's necessary to work with a monopoly. Very few importers work only with Horeca. So to get in to the monopoly, you have the tenders, but it's difficult to win. You have to wait until the tender has the right specifications for your wine. You cannot do the other way around, with a few exceptions. So if you don't have a tender, you just have to wait. But it is one possibility, and that is the wine fairs that we arrange, the importers arrange together with the monopoly every year. It's about 100 wine fairs all across the country, local fairs with only the local wine shops. This is unique because they don't do this in Sweden, only in Norway. And this makes it possible for us to launch products, bring them to the fairs, and invite the monopoly staff to have a tasting. The local monopoly shop can choose up to 20% of the assortment in the shop for these local listings. So if you bring your wine registered in the monopoly only for the order assortment and the web shop, you can show it to the staff in the local shop, and if they like it, they can decide to bring it in to this one shop. If you do this 100 times, you can get you can get a lot of local listings, and this is the clue how to do without winning a tender. So it's not impossible with a wine monopoly. It's about waiting or moving. If you want to move your product into the monopoly, you have the wine fairs. If you want to wait, you have to wait until the specifications is correct and try to win. The specifications for the tenders are given right away. So when they release the tender list, every detail is there. If you fail one of the details, you're out. So you cannot deliver 2018 if they ask for 2019. If your wine is 14% and they ask for 13.5, they're not going to accept you. So it's necessary to be 100% within the specifications to be a part of it. So the monopoly has very strict rules. You have to be within those rules. You have to deliver the specifications, or it's not going to work. The good thing about the monopoly is that it's a huge customer. So being a part of it has every benefit. Not being there, you're not in the market at all, you know. So, and they have good knowledge. They are like our ambassadors in the shop. The staff has good knowledge about wine. Many of them take wine education more and more, and are ambassadors for the consumers that comes into the shop and ask questions, ask for guidance, ask for match for the food they are having in the weekend. So it is the most important customer you can have, without no doubt. The Horeca market is important, but the Horeca market is more about marketing the wines for the consumers to buy at the monopoly. So doing business at the Horeca market, you really need to sell a couple of thousand products of each brand you have, each wine, which is not easy. If you have 100 wines and you have to sell 2,000 items of every wine, it's almost impossible. It's only 5.5 million people in Norway, and that is important to remember. It is a small market, but with the monopoly as a big advantage. So price. If you have been approaching the Norwegian market, you know that there is a lot of talk about price and always the cheapest products, always big volumes. This is not true. The monopoly, they ask for everything. They ask for expensive wines, they ask for cheap wines, they ask for small sub-regions, commercial wines, everything. It's just a matter of time, and they are not adapting to the producers. They ask for certain wines, and we have to go and find the right producers. So as a wine importer, you need to do the research and we find you. You cannot find us, and that is the market in Norway. This makes it difficult to approach the Norwegian market because the chance of you having a wine right now with the right requirements is very slim. So so we need to find you, you know, which is very different from all other markets, obviously. And the tenders has a bad reputation all the producers doesn't like the tenders because it's a lottery and no flexibility. It is true, it's no flexibility, but it's not a lottery. It's definitely possible to win tenders. It's just to understand how to do it. And we as importers, some of us at least, know how to do it. It's about many factors like price, volume. It's of course the wine itself, the quality, and doing the research in the market, in the Norwegian market, about how much you have to sell to keep the basic listing after the initial 12 months. I don't know if you know about the monopoly market, but if you win a tender, you have 12 months to prove yourself. And if you don't sell enough, you're out. If you sell enough, you're in. It's simple as that. And we, as importer, can tell you exactly how much you need to sell. It's not difficult. Everything is in the sales statistics at the wine monopoly. So the web shop and the wine portal has all you need to know exactly how much every single wine sells in Norway. It's nowhere in the world except Sweden with this kind of knowledge about the market. We can go in and look for specific brands or a specific type of wines, and we get all the sales statistics we need to know exactly what to look for to bring in for the tenders or for the wine fairs, local wine fairs, the back door into the monopoly. This is how to succeed with the tenders, and it's almost the only way to do it. I could go in deep details, but it's too complex. But understanding the Norwegian system is essential to avoid misunderstandings and frustration among the producers. And this is the case. It's a lot of frustration from you producers and misunderstandings because it takes some time to understand how things work. But that's why the importers are there. You don't necessarily need to understand everything. We are the one to help you into the market. So trusting in the importers is important. Finding the right importer is important. And having a common strategy is more important than understanding the system. You have to adapt to the market, listen to the importers, even though it may hurt, to adapt too much. It's to be or not to be. The market is like it is, and if you don't adapt, you won't get in. I write here what works in Italy or Australia doesn't necessarily work in Norway. It's a different kind of market. That's why we are here explaining it, of course, and telling you to don't give up. Trust in the importers and let us help you to get into the market, because it's not impossible. Just take some time because we have to find you and not the other way around. And also another important element is the written agreements, which has been more common the last years and very important. There is a lot of changes going on all the time. You change importer, the importer changes producers, and it gives a bad name to the importers and the Norwegian market. And to avoid this, the written agreements is of great importance. It's more predictable for you as producers and also for the importers. So I just needed to skip some facts. I hope that's okay. I think we can spend the last 5 minutes for questions, and just fire away with all the questions we want. There's no problem. We will try to answer.
Yeah, I have a question regarding to like advertising of alcohol. So I'm a Facebook advertiser. I know like Sweden as well as Norway, you're not allowed to advertise on social media. So how about like other advertising? If a producer want to increase their brand awareness, what do they need to do? Thank you.
You cannot advertise for alcohol in Norway, except for the Horeca channel. Like magazines only distributed to Horeca. But otherwise, no. You have to try to get the journalists to write about it, giving them samples. But just be careful.
Many samples.
Yeah. They love samples. I've been there, done that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you.
In Sweden, it's very common right now. It started during the pandemic, but they do online tastings. The wine importers sponsor wine journals or wine journalists, and they have online tastings on Facebook, on Instagram, and so on. And it's a growing interest, and it seems to be working. There's a lot on social media, though, through influencers, wine people, journalists, and so on. In Sweden, you can do commercial, but it has the signs like on cigarettes underneath. But you can have it in magazines, also for the wine sold in the monopoly, but it has to have this text underneath, as you see on.
I can just add that the effect from journalist writings or influencers is very low. In Norway, it's only a few journalists with an effect on sales. So it must be a part of your total strategy, long-term strategy, to build up, knowledge. But it takes time and it costs a lot of money. The best marketing you do is getting your brand in the shops, because even though you're small, you get your brand side by side with all the others. So you have a small producer from Barolo will stand side by side with Fontana Fredda, and then that's unique. It's like the small and the big side by side in the shop. Okay, so thank you for listening.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.